find it pretty ironic that it took 6 women to make Henry VIII as famous as he is. Welcome, people of all genders, to something that just needed to be on BookTube. This is a celebration of the musical 6 in a bookish question format. If you somehow didn't know about my latest obsession, it is 6 the Musical, created by Tommy Marlowe and Lucy Moss, and starring such queens as Renee Lamb, Natalie Paris, Maya Quansa-Breed, Vicky Manser, and my favorite, Amy Atkinson. I was introduced to this musical on the quaint day of June the 8th when we were driving home. Alex and I were driving home from Toledo, and she's like, "Hey, can I play you this musical I think you'll like?" And I said yes, and the rest is history. Since then, I have seen a few tweets on Twitter about people on or in the book community talking about 6 the Musical, and so I thought it just needed a tag. So I'm the one to create it. I'm excited because I have been formulating this video for over a week now in filming different clips that need to go in it and everything. So I hope you enjoy, and let's just jump into it with first Catherine of Aragon and No Way.
You got me down on my knees, please tell me what you think I've done wrong. Been humble, been loyal, I've tried to swallow my pride all along. If you could just explain a single thing I've done to cause you pain, I'll go. No? You've got nothing to say, I'm not showing the way. There's no way. You must think that I'm crazy. You wanna replace me, baby. There's no way. You'll make me your wife, so I'll just wait till the end of my life. No way.
For No Way, the question is a book you read a while ago that will not let you forget about it. And for this question, I'm going with They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I read this in April of last year and have been thinking about it ever since. It hasn't left my mind for more than maybe a day or two, just thinking about the characters, the world in which it is set in, and just everything surrounding it, and what if this were our world? What if our world were formulated to be very similar to the They Both Die at the End world? If you didn't know, They Both Die at the End is a story that takes place in a near futuristic world in which on the day that you are going to die, you get a call from this this association called Deathcast, and they tell you that you're going to die, and they don't know what way you're going to die. It's just sometime throughout the day, and you have to live your life in a single day. They have adapted to this technology with other associations, like the Last Friend app, where you can find other people that are dying on that day, and such things as that, and it follows 2 boys, Mateo and Rufus, on their respective last day. I really loved this story, like I said. I think my favorite thing about it had to be the fact that it wasn't just narrated by Mateo and Rufus. There were some, like, other perspectives thrown in, because The Sun Is Also Star also has that, and that was one of my favorite aspects about that. And I just find that that's one of my favorite aspects in books, when there are more point of views that are only shown once. I just really like it, so this is a book that I have not forgotten since I read it. Next up is Anne Boleyn and Don't Lose Your Head.
Oh, Anne, way to make the country hate you. Mate, what was I meant to do? Sorry, not sorry about what I said. I'm just trying to have some fun. Don't worry, don't lose your head. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. Oh, 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 say oh well, or go to hell. I'm sorry, not sorry about what I said. Don't lose your head.
For this song, I chose to pick a character that is completely unapologetic and emulates everything that they are and that they do. And for that question, I decided to go with Evie O'Neill from The Diviners, who just is completely unapologetic throughout the series and emulates everything that she is and that she does. Evie is one of my favorite characters in this story, and I understand that a lot of people don't really like Evie, or that she can be very hard to connect with, but I really connect to some of the things that are said about her throughout this series. I have a very specific quote that I'm talking about that I'm just not going to get into right now, because like that's a whole other thing entirely. But she is completely unapologetic in all of the decisions that she makes, in everything that she does and decides to do. She doesn't apologize for anything, and she completely emulates everything. If she doesn't think that she should do it, she doesn't do it. She needs to be 100% in the things that she does, and she does them, and she just does them, and it's so great. If you didn't know, The Diviners is a 1920s set paranormal story following Evie O'Neill as she has to move to New York because of some trouble that she got into in Ohio, where she is from, because of her power to read objects. Throughout the series, it follows some more diviners, as they are called, these kids with powers, as they kind of rediscover their powers or discover them for the first time and figure out how to use them to help the greater good. There are a lot more characters with a lot different or varying personalities throughout the series, but I think Evie definitely like gives me some Anne Boleyn vibes with her like, I don't fucking care, I'm gonna do it anyway, and I'm not gonna be sorry about it. And I just love that, and I just think that this is the perfect fit for this question. Next is Jane Seymour, the only one he truly loved, and Heart of Stone.
But I know without my son your love could disappear. I know it isn't fair, but I don't care, 'cause my love will still be here. You can build me up, you can tear me down, you can try but I'm unbreakable. You can do your best, but I'll stand the test. You'll find that I'm unshakable. When the fire's burned, the wind has blown, the water's dry, you'll still find stone. My heart of stone.
For Heart of Stone, name a character that has been through hell and back and is still fighting. For this question, I'm going with Kate Brighton from the Rhyme Chronicles duology. She has just been to hell and back already in the first book, before you even like start reading. What has happened before the events of Onyx and Ivory start is already hell and back, and she is still there, and there's more hell and back going on in this book, and there's even more hell and back that goes on in book 2. Basically, before the first book starts, like before it even starts, what she's doing is she's working as a relay rider, which is their courier service in this world. It's basically like the Pony Express, so she is riding, taking mail back and forth between cities. And the reason that she has been kind of forced into this role is because a few years past, her father tried to assassinate the king, and she got exiled from the kingdom where her father was previously the master of horses, and she had a higher standing. So at this point, she is being known as Traitor Kate and dealing with this, and then her old love, the Prince Corwin, comes into town after he has been gone for a few years, and she has to deal with that as well, and she deals with it so well, saves his life, and it just kind of kicks off the events of this story. I basically just gave you the synopsis to this by saying that, but that's just what I can tell you about her being to hell and back and like still like being there and like doing shit and like badassery. But I love Kate in this series so much. I love this series so much. I love all of the characters, and I'm currently reading book 2, and she just, to me, was someone that I needed to talk about when I was going to talk about someone who has been to hell and back and is still fighting. Sorry about the lighting change. I didn't really like it, so I changed it. But next is Anna of Cleves and Get Down.
You said that I tricked ya, 'cause I didn't look like my profile picture. Too bad I don't agree, so I'm gonna hang it up for everyone to see. And you can't stop me, 'cause I'm the queen of the castle. Get down, you dirty rascal!
For Get Down, name a book that ended up being way better than the cover would suggest. For this, I am going with the Gemma Doyle trilogy by Libba Bray. This is just the first one, but as you can see, it's a pretty shitty cover, and the insides are so much better than the covers were to suggest. But these books are just so much better than this like corset shit on the front. And I think they deserve better covers. I mean, the Diviners got better covers, and from what Libba Bray is teasing, there might be more Gemma Doyle trilogy, so is there time for cover changes of these ones? and then a whole new trilogy maybe? But this series follows Gemma Doyle after her mother dies. She was living in India and she has to move to England and go to this boarding school and pretend like everything's okay even though it's really not. And that is when she finds this kind of magical ability to travel to a different realm and talk to her mother, because her mother hasn't really passed on yet. And she is cherishing this ability when her new friends want to get involved, and it's just a whole lot of, you know, taking her friends so that she keeps these new friends and everything, and it's just so good. Next is my favorite, Catherine Howard in All You Wanna Do.
You say I'm all you need, all you want, we both agree. This is the place for me. I'm finally where I'm meant to be. Then he starts saying all this stuff. He cares so much, he calls me love. He says we have this connection. I guess it's not so different. 'Cause all you wanna do, baby, is touch me, love me, can't get enough. See, all you wanna do, baby, seize me, squeeze me, birds and the bees me. There's no time for when or how, 'cause you just got to have me now. Playtime's over, the only thing you wanna do is... So we got married.
For All You Wanna Do, I went with the question to pick a book that appears light and carefree but actually deals with some darker topics. So for this, I am going with Check Please, Hashtag Hockey, and like generally the entire series, but this is the only like book that is out currently, so I'm holding it up, by Ngozi Ukazu. It is very light and fluffy, don't get me wrong, but it does deal with some harder topics such as mental health and homophobia within this series. The main character's love interest, Jack, deals a lot with anxiety and I think depression, just because he can't necessarily live up to his father's expectations of him being a hockey star. And the main character, Biddle, who is gay, deals with some homophobia, and I think since this was a webcomic, it is his 4th year of college when he has come out to his father, and his father is kind of, not blatantly, but kind of subtly homophobic about his relationship, and it just deals with these harder topics even though it is a very light and carefree and fluffy novel. And I love that about it, just because it so seamlessly intertwines those harder topics in with such a format that is, like I said, cute and fluffy and it just has some awesome things. I really need to reread this because it's been a few months and I just feel like I need this in my life again because it is just so cute and I love it so much. And the final queen is Catherine Parr and I Don't Need Your Love.
Oh my love, Catherine. So I sent that letter to my love, got married to the king, became the one who survived. I told you about my life, the final wife. But why should that story be the one I have to sing about just to win? I'm out. That's not my story. There's so much more. Remember that I was a writer. I wrote books and psalms and meditation for female education, so all my women can independently study scripture. I even got a woman to paint my picture. Why can't I tell that story?
Song, pick a character who took control of a shitty situation and made something great out of it. And for that question, I went with the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. Imani in this book was given a pretty shitty situation of becoming pregnant her freshman year of high school, but instead of kind of moping about it or getting rid of the baby, she decided to have it and is still dealing with a senior year of high school as she is raising her child, but she just decided to take it head on and has so much love in her life for her child and for everyone around her, and it just makes such an amazing situation and an amazing story. I can't say that if I was put in the same situation that I would do the same thing, and I very much look up to Imani for doing this. Even though she is a fictional character, I know that some people in real life do face these situations and do make the same choices that Imani made. And knowing that, and then knowing that this story does reflect some of their things that they had to deal with, I completely look up to Amani for making the greatest of the shitty situation that she was put in. I kind of just explained a little bit about what this book was about, but basically what happens in With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo is the main character, Amani, gets pregnant for her freshman year, and it's her senior year now when the story is taking place after she has had her child, and she is dealing with whatever repercussions came with that as far as raising her child. But senior year, since her love is cooking, there is a culinary arts class offered, and she decides to take it, and part of that class is going to Spain, and it's a huge slice of life, kind of, her senior year, and it deals with her kind of making choices that the average senior makes on whether to go to school or not further, or what to do after you graduate. But there's so much more at stake for her, and it's just so beautiful and so great, and I just love it so much. So that was my 6th musical book tag, or 6th book tag if you want to get fancy. Please be sure to go listen to 6th the Musical. I will leave a link to the YouTube playlist for all of the songs down below. Before I go, I have one question to ask you guys, and make sure to sound off down in the comments down below. What is your favorite royal book? I want to know, is it Royals by Rachel Hawkins? Is it Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston? Is it a fantasy book that deals with royalty? I want to know because I want to read more royal books. So make sure to let me know down in the comments below your favorite. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you sometime for a new one. Bye!